Wes, how's it going, man?
Great, brother. It is another Wednesday and time for another break from my hectic schedule. I love it.
It's not just another Wednesday, Wes. It's Valentine's Day.
Oh, it is. You know, my wife told me that earlier, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, happy Valentine's Day."
And your response was just another Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly. We don't do Hallmark holidays here. Like we do some mild stuff on birthdays, and then obviously Christmas. But like Hallmark holidays, we're just like, hey, it's that day. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Fuck it. I like it, man. I like it. I'm not a big fan of this kind of stuff, but hey, you know what? As a single dude, I'm so happy to be in a relationship with all of these fucking cats. So thank you everybody for being here. We love you oh so very much, and that's hopefully the last time you hear the words Valentine's Day in the next hour. You ready to do this, man?
Let's go.
Let's go. This is PSVR GamesCast Live. We film live every single Monday, Wesday, and 2 Eyes Friday right here on YouTube. We do it live 6 p.m. Eastern for your viewing pleasure. But thankfully, we also care about your oral pleasure. That's why our good friend RyPop uploads this to podcast services of your choice. My name is Bryan Paul from this channel right here, PSVR without Parole. And this dude over here to my right, also, you are right, it's Wes Dillon from Virtual Strangers. Wes, what is happening over on Virtual Strangers these days? What's going on with you? How's your life? I feel like we haven't talked since last Wednesday.
It's last Wednesday. Oh, it's good, man. We, as far as the channel goes, we're back. We started our regularly scheduled programming again this past Sunday. So I'm starting to keep up with VR news again, so I don't have to hear about it all from your channel. But no, it's good. I mean, things in my personal life are still a bit hectic, but we are managing. And things are good. Like I'm healthy, my family's healthy. I got to play VR for hours today, so I'm in a pretty good mood actually.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. I'm happy that we're having a good time. Leo AI reminds me that relationship with cats is called bestiality.
Well, you could say that, but you know, we talk about Valentine's Day, and that seemed like it would be the perfect holiday for Bryan Paul, who happens to love us all. This would be like the day for you, right?
I mean, I feel like it's a lie, Wes. Like, I don't say it nearly as much as I used to. I used to say it because it rhymed, and I used to go, man, that's fucking cheesy. And then people would be like, oh, Bryan Paul loves us all. Like, it was like, it'd be a thing. And be like, oh, you gotta start saying it again. And like, I think it's become abundantly obvious that it's just not fucking true. So why would I lie to these people that when I tell them, you know, how transparent I like to be with them? I don't want to lie. I don't want to lie.
Well, and you know, now that you mentioned it, I'm Bryan Paul, and I love some of you. Just doesn't have the same ring to it.
No. Also, some of you might also be an exaggeration. A few of you, I definitely am very, very fond of. There's no rhyme. I got to work on that. God damn, dude. Guys, thanks for being here. Make sure you come join our Discord. Click the link in the description below. But while you're clicking links in the description below, make sure you click on Wes's channel. We've got the link to Virtual Strangers right down below. Click over there. Spread the VR love. Here's the thing, guys. Right? You might be like, well, I don't want to subscribe to Virtual Strangers because I only have a PlayStation VR or PSVR2. Guess what? They are constantly talking about the thing that we're going to do today, which is we played games that are coming to PSVR2, but we had to pull out our Quests and our PC VR headsets in order to do it. These guys do it all the fucking time. And let me tell you, Wes, you don't get enough fucking credit for that shit because PC gaming sucks.
It's not fun, is it?
No.
And I guess we'll wait to that segment to talk about it. But they don't make it easy, do they?
They don't make it easy. You know, I mean, like, and the thing is, it's like, what if you're doing it all the time? you don't run into the problems that I have. You know, you're also not trying to figure out how to capture the footage because you do it all the time, right? If you're a PC gamer, you have this shit down. I have been spoiled by console gaming for decades. I haven't been a PC gamer for a very, very long time. So, like, if anybody out there is being like, it's not that complicated, Bryan, you know, it's not. It isn't. Not for people who do it all the time. But I never do it. And goddamn, I don't want to do it anymore. So, we got the Game Cat, Andrew Ehrenreich, in the chat with the $5 tip says, does Foglands suck any less yet? I saw it's on sale. Also, kind of funny, your Foglands interview is what put me onto this channel. Shame the game was so bad. Yeah, I think it's like on $10 discount on the sale. It's a Planet of the Discount sale. Goes until the end of the month. What's that? What you got, Wes?
I've got something I could share on this front, actually.
Talk
because
to me.
I actually have had fairly recent contact with these developers, and while no, it does not suck less yet. Well, I mean, I guess technically it sucks a little bit less than it did at launch. They did do a QOL update pretty quickly,
Right.
but they are still working on it, and they're taking people's feedback into account, and they assure me within the last 10 days that there is a substantial update on the way that's going to address the combat and a lot of the other things that people have criticized the game for. And I think that's good because I don't think it's a lost cause. I really don't. I think they really blew it with regard to launching too early and kind of making that negative first impression. But I think the game is salvageable. The bones of a good game are there. It's just not very fun.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to disagree with you, even though I don't agree with you. If that makes any sense, because I don't know if there's even a bones of a good game here. However, I don't want to condemn this game. I mean, I already have. I've already given my thoughts on on what happened at launch, but that doesn't mean I'm never going to give it another look. I want to make sure that I'm always fair to these developers who put in the work, and so I don't want to be like, oh, there's no chance it could ever be good. When if they put in a lot of work, maybe like I think technically everything is salvageable. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on it, man. I'm very curious to see how this goes because I don't think it even has the bones of a good game, sadly.
Well, I had a different opinion of it, and it was there were opinions all over the place on it. Some people even liked it how it is. Yeah. Most people didn't, but didn't hate it, and then a few of you really hated it. I didn't hate it.
Wes, did you see that Jeff Grubb is saying that we could very well see an AstroBot by the end of the year?
I did not, but I love that that's happening. Jeff Grubb tends to be a fairly reputable source. It doesn't shock me. I mean, we've kind of been saying that for a while now. Like even last year, we were expecting the hybrid AstroBot game to drop this year sometime, which, by the way, is all speculation based on some fact. I mean, Team Asobi has spoken a little bit about the project that they're working on over the months, and it sounds like it could be a VR game, and obviously AstroBot's the one thing everyone would point to. But no, I did not hear that, but I am thrilled, not surprised, but thrilled that there is something to back it up now.
Yeah. And again, I think we were all very hopeful that Sony had lots and lots planned for the launch of PSVR2. But just like the launch of PSVR1, there were no real first-party titles, especially no big first-party titles at the launch. It took until about 2018, a year and a half, 2 years into the system's life for us to really start getting, all these great, like Wipeout Omega, AstroBot, Blood and Truth, like these. We didn't really see anything about these games. I believe in the first 2 years, I'd have to kind of get a release calendar to know exactly, but it was a bit. Jeff Grubb's not 100% on his inside info, but he is definitely, as you said, Wes, one of the more reliable leakers out there. So I have a lot of faith in him.
More reliable than Raytheon.
I
That
mean,
guy.
Raytheon, the thing with that guy is that he seemed to be fairly credible for a while. And then he just started like throwing lots of shit at the wall, and everything he said was just inaccurate. Everything.
Yeah.
And then I could even see stuff where he was like sort of getting his info from, like we were talking about all the PSVR1 games that were coming to PSVR2, and he kind of took that and ran with it, but then kind of like exaggerated it, which was, a shame, because I think some people know some things, but then they're not content just knowing a few things. They want to be the guy that knows everything. I think that's what happened with him.
So he's the guy, for those of you who don't know, who's famously said that we should be expecting Stormland Remastered and Stormland 2 on PlayStation VR2, as we now own Insomniac, which, I mean, if you're going to throw shit at the wall, that's a pretty good guess.
Makes sense, yeah.
But there was a heavy leak from Insomniac about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, that looked to be 100% legit and said nothing. It had like 7 or 8 years of roadmap for Insomniac, and there was no VR in that whatsoever. However, I did see a headline today that apparently Stormland is delisted on Oculus Rift now, which is interesting.
Didn't it get delisted like a while ago?
I heard it was going to be delisted a while ago. I saw a headline today that confirmed that is in fact the case.
Okay.
So I don't know when it actually left the store.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing to remember about Insomniac is that they're a massive team that creates amazing games. They have multiple teams within Insomniac. But at this point, I think all the teams within Insomniac are big enough to be like working on massive games. I know that sounds like a no-brainer, but I don't know if you'd actually want to, quote unquote, waste talent at Insomniac to port their PC VR games over to PSVR2. Those games have already been created, right? The talent has already made that. And so now it's just like the mechanical stuff to like, let's get this brought over and make it look and feel good, right? So like maybe you wouldn't have Insomniac be the ones working on the port if you were Sony. Just saying.
Perhaps that is a good point. And like you mentioned, I'm sure they have other studios that work under them. I'm sure it's like InDreams has studios, like Vertigo Games has studios that work. Fast Travel, they all have smaller studios that they've kind of absorbed over time, and projects that from smaller studios under the umbrella wouldn't necessarily be on the type of roadmap documents. I don't know. It's a little bit of a reach. I'm trying to keep hope alive because it is such a great game, and one I would like to see make its way to PSVR 2 in some form, even if it is just a remaster. So yeah, who knows? Any explanation could fit here, and we never will quite know the truth until the time has passed.
Yeah. Herc UK in the chat reminds us that Sony told their stockholders today that, quote, Sony will not release any new major existing PlayStation franchise titles before April 2025, which doesn't really apply to us. Like, I don't know if they'd call anything on PSVR 2 major. So it's gonna be kind of a quiet year, I think, for first party Sony stuff. It's been a few quiet years, but they've got 20 plus first party studios working on shit. So that means 2025, 2026, 2027 is going to be fucking rocking. The back half of the PS5 lifespan is going to be fucking incredible. PSVR 2, they're not nothing in the works for PSVR 2 first party is going to be considered a major title for them, especially not to their investors who are like, and how many copies is that going to sell? They're like, I don't know, 20,000. Yeah, not fucking major. So don't worry. Hasid Mirza with the $2 tip says, anyone know what White Moon Dreams is up to? Well, I'll tell you, I almost picked Starblood Arena as our 20 questions game, so maybe that. I love those guys. I talk to them on the regular. Nothing at the moment. They are doing nothing. They are all sitting on their hands going, boy, I wish we had something to work on. Now,
ridiculous.
I'm obviously NDA'd on talking about that kind of stuff, but those guys are fucking really, really talented. I'll say that. That is one of the most amazing teams that PlayStation has, and it's not even owned by PlayStation. Like, they should fucking scoop them up. They did do the amazing ports, though, of Saints and Sinners Chapter 1 and 2 for PSVR2. I mean, those were stellar ports, you know?
Excellent. Best versions of the games.
Yep. So they also did the PSVR 1 version of Saints and Sinners Chapter 1. So that was pretty amazing for its time. But what they're up to now, I don't know. Keep your fingers crossed. Awesome Tatum with the $5 tip says, has anyone tried Bulletstorm VR after the patch today? Still on the fence.
No.
Bueller? Bueller? Anybody in the chat, raise your hand. Yeah, nothing. Sorry, Tatum. The patch, I read the patch notes. They don't seem very impressive. It doesn't seem like anything that like I was concerned about really got addressed. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is the big one that we've been waiting on. You know, sometime after I played it on PSVR 2, I decided, you know what, people say that the PC version is the best. Let's try it on PC. So I reached out to them for a key, and they're like, yeah, we'll absolutely give you a key after we update the game. So maybe I should check my inbox. I wonder if this was the update that they told me I needed to wait on.
Maybe. Let's just double check, make sure we don't have any more news. There's a lot of shit on sale with that Planet of the Discount sale. Like we were saying earlier, Foglands is $10 off. A lot of games are on sale. I think it's going to be, they're on sale all month long. I think we'll probably save that for Friday's show. So Miles and I can go through and talk about what games maybe you should consider picking up. Only because I think we've got a lot to talk about today. Right, Wes?
We do indeed, Brian.
The Game Cat Andrew Ehrenreich with a $2 tip says, Insomniac, hear me out. Sunset OVR drive. That was fucking rough, man. That was rough. It's almost as rough as Ovrdark, which is the first game we want to talk about today. Guys, we played 3 different games all coming to PSVR2. And so let's start with the Ovrdark demo. Wes, what I got it, dude. Okay. This was the only one I had to play through Steam. So let's get this out of the way. How did this run for you performance-wise?
It ran okay for me. I did notice a little bit of reprojection in the outside area, like before I made it into the building. Mm-hmm. After I got into the building, it ran all right with a frame drop here and a frame drop there, but nothing completely game breaking for me. But it took me a minute to get into it. I installed the game. I hooked up my HP Reverb G2, turned my controllers on, started the game, and it told me that I didn't have a controller hooked up.
Same, yeah.
So I took the headset off. I took 10 minutes to find out my Xbox controller and plug it into my PC. I go back into the game. I boot it this time. And then when I get in the game, the Xbox controller doesn't work. It's actually my motion controllers that were working in the game. So I wasted a bunch of time on that. I don't know. It seems like there was something else that annoyed me about like the menu or the settings or something. But after I got into the game, it ran okay for me.
Okay. So I had actually seen Awesome Tatum, who's in the chat here, streaming this on our Discord on his PC. And so I kind of had an idea what to expect here. I don't think mine was running nearly as bad as his was, but you can see how stuttery it is. And I turned all the settings. At first I clicked the recommended settings and it put everything up to the maximum ultra. And I was like, no, thank you. I put everything down to like medium and it was like still very stuttery. So I don't think it's a problem with like I don't think it's a problem with my PC so much as like maybe the demo sirens on my end. Cause I don't think Tatum, Tatum in the chat says, I never fought with a PC VR demo so hard. So very jittery, Stike. That's right. But it was playable. If you're not somebody who gets like severely motion sick, then like, it is a playable demo. And I'm sure it's going to work for some people better than others. Ignoring the stutter, I thought it was a decent looking game. Some nice lighting, some nice kind of dust effects in the hallways and everything. I thought it was a pretty good looking overall.
No, I'll agree with that. And I do want to ask you before we get past it here. You were capturing footage when you were playing?
Yeah, this is my footage.
Okay. So you were capturing footage. Who was it? Tatum, you said, was streaming it?
Yeah.
Also capturing footage. I was not capturing footage. But with that said, I was playing on the G2, which has roughly the same pixel density as the PSVR2. And I was playing with everything on Ultra, and it ran pretty well for me. So it could be just an issue of capturing the game, and that extra kind of stress on your graphics card might have kind of pushed it over the line, so to speak.
Good to know.
But you're right. Graphically, I think the graphics and the visuals of the game are the strength of what I played.
Yeah, probably.
It's a good looking game. It's very reminiscent of like Resident Evil 7 and the types of environments that they put you in. Yeah, it was an enjoyable atmosphere. I'll say that.
Yeah, I agree. It's so funny because I this was not the first game I played today, but the you can tell in the footage here, I was literally having a problem just picking up the flashlight it's telling you. Whereas like some games we played today, you could, have your hand 2 meters away from the thing that you were trying to grab and still grab onto it. But yet this was like, nope, you got to get your hand like inside the flashlight to grab it. So just kind of tolerate me here while I try to get this thing going.
Yeah. And not only that, but when you're holding the flashlight and you grab an item for your inventory, not only does it automatically stow the item in your inventory for you, but it also makes you drop your flashlight back down into your holster automatically as well.
Yeah. So it's because, this demo certainly has its fair share of issues. However, it was, this is coming from the developers Nox Knockness who made Do Not Open. And, clearly, as we were talking about on Monday's show, they realized that Do Not Open just doesn't work in VR. It's a puzzle game that requires maybe some pen and paper here and there. This is clearly made for VR. It's simple stuff. It's like, oh, this thing over here needs a lever. Let's go find the lever. This thing over here needs a key. Let's go find the key. And obviously, it's just the first 15 minutes of the game where they're sort of getting you used to the controls. But it feels like a game that was made for VR, which sometimes just means they dumbed it down a little bit, from a traditional flat screen game. But for a horror game, it's all I really need. One of the things I was saying on Monday to AJ was even if this comes out and it's just kind of like fine, mechanically, and it's got some good scares, I think I'll be okay, man. Like I think I'll enjoy it. So, and we don't have too much longer to find out either. This one comes out next month, I believe. March 7th, and then it's the 16th here in the US. So not that long to go.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I agree with you. This is my genre. This is the type of game I like to play. It might not end up being for everyone because people like you and I tend to overlook things because we enjoy these types of games. But the story seemed cool. The environments were beautiful. The sound effects were solid. I will say it was a little weird that there's no localization for American English, given that the game takes place in Louisiana, but all of the language is in Spanish. And even the radio broadcast that come over the radio says, "Attention, United States citizens," and it's all in Spanish. It's like you have to read the captions to understand what they're saying. So that's kind of comical. It would have made more sense for this game to take place in Barcelona or something, but no, my general impressions of it were positive, and it is something that I'm still looking forward to playing through.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I always turn subtitles off immediately. I think they're immersion breaking. But obviously, I took Spanish in high school. I worked at a Spanish restaurant for the better part of a decade. I don't know Spanish. So here I was sitting in the car and as you said, the radio's on. It's saying things like pick up the flashlight, but it's like raining, right? And so the rain is coming down on the windshield. The subtitles are outside of the windshield. They're outside of the car, so they're impossible to read because they have the effect of the rain in the dashboard, the glass on them. So you literally have to put your head down so that the subtitles come down with you and then become inside the car and get that effect removed so you can see what the fuck they say. These are little things that I don't know if will be fixed by the time the final game comes along, but you know, like you said, kind of comical.
Yeah, it was funny. It was tolerable. It was just a little out of place, a little weird.
Yeah. But anyway, like, I don't know. I feel good about this. I feel like if they can get this, I would love to hear that, that it's Noctis, the developer. Would love to hear that this is going to be running at like 90 native, whatever, on PSVR2. I think a lot of these environments, they're pretty closed in. They look good for what they are, but we're not rendering like a football field here. We're rendering very small rooms, and so hopefully they can get this like up to 90 native. And as long as it has the resolution that I saw in the headset on the PC, then I'm going to be pretty happy. I thought it looked okay. So
did you get to see some of the Steam VR reprojection then and what it's like?
I mean, it's hard to tell with this one because it was so stuttery.
That's what it is. Instead of ghosting, when you're turning, it's just vibration. The whole world's just vibrating.
Yeah.
People think that the PlayStation VR is the only one that has terrible reprojection, but in many ways, it's preferable to the way Steam VR can be sometimes.
I'm certain this will not be the last Steam VR game I'll be playing in the coming months. So I will keep my eyes open for that. I'll tell you, I mean, I played a lot of Quest 3 today, and the Quest 3 is I think pulling off what it does pretty damn well.
Oh yeah,
it's reprojection is not noticeable, not for me, and they are making sure that each game that comes out for it is running at like the max resolution. So pretty good stuff over there. Real quick, let's give a shout out to Living Legend with the Canadian $5 tip. Says, happy Wednesday, GameCats. Stellar Blade in VR would be dope. I wish this menu would go away. Why isn't the menu going away? There we go. Stellar Blade in VR would be dope. I'm not a perv, LOL. I think Stellar Blade looks great. I might be a perv though, so.
I definitely am a perv, and I think it's okay.
Mark Smith with the $5 tip says, I'd like to thank Tiff for being helpful, and Wes, Roots, and all involved with Virtual Strangers for my winning Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 game key. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, and on that note, I see all of your messages. I still haven't dished out these keys. I'm hoping to get around to doing that this evening. Like the ones we gave away on the original, live show, most of those are out. But the second chance winners that we announced on Sunday, I intended to distribute on Monday, but I had an emergency come up and I had to leave, and I haven't been able to do it yet. I'm hopeful that those of you who haven't gotten your keys yet, that I'll be answering those messages sometime before I pass out tonight. So watch your inboxes.
Let's hope so. Urban Wolf Games, as we all know, developer of Legendary Tales, with the 2,000, let's call them Wario coins. It says, time to listen to the radio on the road to the office. I'm assuming he's going to have to listen to this later, is what he's saying. But thank you very much for your generosity. The chat is on a completely different topic altogether, aren't they?
Yeah, it looks like there's some fake Valve headset that some people say might not be fake that got leaked. I've got a link. I haven't looked at it yet. Thanks, Tatum, for sharing. Interesting.
Yeah. Jordy Britt saying, Bryan, you've been seeing another headset, and on Valentine's Day, my mother was right. Yeah, everyone's mother was right about me, that's for sure.
Bryan's just doing his due diligence and doing proper reconnaissance work to let us know what's coming down the line to PlayStation VR2.
Dude, I get so much shit for getting a Quest 3 from the cats, and but no one gave me shit for getting a Quest 1 or a Quest 2 and doing the exact same shit for the last like 5 years. But it's all good. It's all good. I take my job seriously, man.
This is not the first of these episodes that we have done.
Nope. No, but some of you guys are new, and so that is understandable. All right, Wes. So we played a demo of an upcoming game that's coming out next month, but we also played some full-fledged games. What's the next one you want to talk about?
I'll let you pick.
Well, in that case, we played a game called Titanic: A Space Between. Is that what it's called?
I believe so, yes.
And this was, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to lie. This was the reason I ended up picking up a Quest 3. I know that sounds silly. There's like so many reasons to pick up a Quest 3, like Asgard's Wrath 2. There's lots of great games on the headset. For whatever reason, this was the one that made me go, oh man, I got to wait to play this on PSVR 2. I'm just going to buy a Quest. I know it sounds ridiculous, but
it does.
Yeah. I mean, listen, okay, so let's get a few things out of the way. Small development team. This is made by like a couple people, right? And it's a time traveling adventure. It is, it takes place on the Titanic, obviously, and it's also got some horror elements to it. All of this sounds pretty fucking cool, and I'm really happy about that. Like, because the last Titanic game we got was just Titanic VR. And it was terrible. You get to, the cool thing was you get to kind of explore the wreckage of the Titanic, but everything else about the game was kind of weak. So I'm glad that they took the good stuff and left the lame stuff. And they have said that this is out now on Quest, but it is coming to PSVR 2 in the coming months. So soon, just a few months away, I'm sure, with all sorts of graphical improvements. Wes, what did you think of this? How much time did you get to spend with it? And what are your impressions thus far?
I didn't put a ton of time into it, maybe an hour and a half into it. It's certainly my type of game in the terms of it's a single player story driven. I don't know if I would exactly call it an adventure, but there's some sci-fi elements, there's some horror elements. And, when you're in this type of game, it really, first of all, you have to be able to suspend disbelief. And I'm happy to report that graphically speaking, this is a decent looking game. Like the environments that you're in look pretty good. The parts are voice acted. The voice acting's all in English. That's a big plus. And the story's interesting. So it has a lot going for it right out of the gate. I think it has potential. But as you said, this is from a small team, and it is an early app lab version of the game.
Yep.
And it's definitely, it shows. It seems like an early access version of the game.
Man, it's so crazy how shit works over on Quest, where they're just like, I mean, I guess it's very similar to early access. But when a game finally comes out, it's like, yes, it's in App Lab, or oh, it's in early access, and you kind of have to keep your expectations in check. So yeah, I guess that's something that I need to do with this, and hopefully the developers are listening to everything they hear, because I do feel like this is something that could be really special to a degree, because it's pretty, for sure. I love when I love when the water starts rushing up, and it builds this tension where you're like, I gotta fucking find a way out of here really fast because I don't want to drown. The water physics look really nice. There's always like shit floating in the water that you can pick up. You can pick up a lot of stuff, but as you can see in the footage that I'm showing, you pick things up and it's like, sometimes it's like you just have Spider-Man hands. Like it just like the whole fucking picture frame just sticks to your hand, and it's weird. And that's not even the extent of it, obviously. It's the whole thing kind of has like a janky feel to it. But I kind of appreciate how much it's trying to do. There are a lot of things are destructible. A lot of things you can climb. And it's just, I don't know. It's certainly not in a place where I'd be like, oh yeah, like I recommend this. it definitely feels like a 5, 6 out of 10 right now as far as the gameplay is concerned. But so far, I'm really, really happy that I'm playing it and experiencing it. So if we can get a polished version of what these guys are doing over on PSVR2 in 4, 5, 6 months, that would be fantastic. It's pretty cool so far. I haven't beaten it. I don't know how long it is, but you're playing as like multiple characters, and like I said, there's time travel. You're starting off in the future, like 2045 or something, and then they send you back to, like literally it's supposed to be an hour before the Titanic hits the iceberg, and then next thing you know, you're playing as different characters. You're on different parts of the ship. I don't know, man. I think there's something very cool here.
Yeah, it's original. The story's original, and that's really the best part of it for me. It's a supernatural time travel mystery game.
Yeah.
Pretty much. You're trying to uncover things in the narrative that the intro kind of sets up for you in terms of like the dialogue and things that they tell you. It is more than just a walking simulator. I will say that.
Yeah.
I mean, there aren't any like specifically like complex puzzles that I've seen yet, but there is some puzzling here. Really, I think that the game's pretty close to being good. It's just that there's a lot of interaction jank. Messing with anything with your hands doesn't feel quite right. There are a lot of items that you pick up and use, but I don't know if there just wasn't like a holster system. You have a belt. It looks like you would have like holsters on it, but I wasn't able to use it to like hold weapons or anything in or items.
Yeah, you get like a matchbook at some point, and the matchbook goes there. And anytime you pick up matches, it adds. Yeah, it's like right there, like the front belt buckle. But yeah, I didn't have. There was nothing else that I was storing there other than like the different devices that would kind of attach to your left shoulder.
Right. And it took me a minute to find that. I had to start the game over because in the tutorial level, I picked that little radio device up, and I accidentally dropped it, and I didn't see the screen that tells you it goes to your left shoulder, and I just thought it dropped through the floor, and I was like reaching and trying to find it, and then when I came back in and started it over, I saw the screen, and I was like, oh, it was there the whole time.
Globus Interactive, I'm sorry, is in the chat right now. They are the developers of this game, and they're saying it's about 4 to 6 hours. And they said they're working on an Explore mode coming out in about a week. I saw this in the press release. The Explore mode, I believe, is the one where you kind of have like free reign of the ship, and the water is like filling up in real time, and so you kind of like get to experience drowning on the Titanic. but in a fun way, I guess. I think that it sounds like a pretty cool mode, to be honest. They said we also just pushed a physics update that eliminates some of the jankiness. I just played it like a couple hours ago, like today.
Yeah, I just played it.
So I think we experienced the most recent update. I can double check on that.
I want to say that because I did just play it like right before the show.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the menu screen when it loads in, it says that it's like a build from October or something. So maybe there is an update that I didn't get.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, anyway, I think I do think they're on their way to having something special. I hope they're able to like eliminate like the loading screens that kind of make, because you want to have this full Titanic experience where everything, you feel like you're on the Titanic and like all the areas are actually connected. And I think, maybe there's certain like limitations with the Quest or not having an SSD where maybe like the PlayStation VR2 version can feel a little bit more seamless. But I mean, there's decent puzzles to solve right off the bat. And hold on a second. Oh, they said we only pushed this about 2 hours ago. So, very possible I missed it. I don't know if you missed it. Because this was the first game I played today for these 3.
Yeah, I've played it since then momentarily. But I didn't update it. So the version that I installed was, from this morning. So it's very likely I had an update since the one that I installed.
I will say, yeah, to your point about, missing little tutorial things. There's a lot of voiceovers at the beginning of this. There's your character talking. There's the character you're talking to, and it seems very, very easy to sort of skip that shit. Like, I don't know if it's an accident or like if me moving around and picking up everything that I can possibly pick up and playing with it while they're talking, or trying to push the button to open the next door. I don't know if any of that's triggering some of this dialogue to get skipped, but like some of that shit clearly got skipped while I was playing. And which left me going, oh wait, what am I supposed to be doing? Right. Because I'm over here goofing off and wasn't listening to your instructions. But I heard the dialogue get cut off numerous times.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be skipping that stuff either, because the narrative here is pretty complex and hard to follow, and a lot of it they set up during the tutorial with the backstory that they give you. So if you skip certain things in that, then you're going to be even more lost than I was when you start switching characters and things like that. They do kind of explain who this other character is a little bit before you get in there. So yeah, it pays to stop and listen through the tutorial here if anyone else ends up picking us up and checking it out.
Now, Leo AI in the chat is asking Globus Interactive, but I think we can answer this, at least from what we've played so far. It says, is it a scary game or just some creepy moments? What do you think?
I wouldn't call it. I wouldn't call it. It could get scary. It's had some creepy moments so far. They're starting to tease the supernatural element. It isn't heavy in the early parts of the game yet, but you can tell that it's leading to something, and it could get terrifying later on. But right now, there's just a tease here and there with it.
Their response is definitely a spooky game, although we don't use too many jump scares. We picked horror because it feels like the perfect combination of settings. I agree. But I think horror is the perfect setting for every game. So maybe I'm not the right one to ask. There were two moments where I audibly went, or Jesus, right? Two moments, which I don't know. A little on the jump scary side, but I certainly appreciated. And it also, reminds you that I'm a fucking chicken, and everything scares me, which is why I love horror so much. Two moments of just like kind of like this apparition being there when I didn't expect it to be, but also I think they did it in a really good way, right? Because I've played so many paranormal games over the course of the last 7 whatever years in VR, and so many of them sort of depend on you being in the right place at the right time, looking at the right thing. This game does it well because the thing is where it is, but it also appears very naturally, meaning like you have to turn and face that direction, and so you're not just going to hear a noise and go, oh, did I miss something? Like it seems like these guys really understand how to make a scare work. So far, at least, I'm only about an hour in, so I've got a ways to go. But again, enjoying it so far. I think it's like a $20 game as well. So what. I don't expect this to be like the most polished thing when it finally makes it to PSVR2.
Right. But I mean, again, what it does well, it does well. It's a cool story. It's cool environments. It just needs a little polish. And I mean, 4 to 6 hours seems about perfect for a game like this.
Yeah.
I like it. It's good.
And if Globus is still here, I remember you guys saying at a certain point that there will be graphical improvements for the PSVR2 version. I don't know if you can say anything more about that. Clearly, we're a very picky community. Would really appreciate it, if you get certain resolutions and frame rates. But if you can't share anything, we of course understand. Leo AI. I'm sorry.
Please, I was just going to say, please reach out. If you want to know what these cryptic words mean, we can definitely give you some advice on what the PSVR community typically looks for in these games.
Yeah, it's actually very surprising, because I guess we're super invested in it. But it is surprising when developers don't realize what the community is looking for. Like they're so busy making their game for Quest and then Steam and then PSVR2 that they Yeah, there's certain things are unaware. Right now, while the reprojection system is what it is, we're certainly hoping for 90 native on everything until the reprojection system gets fixed. Or improved. We should say improved. I don't think it's broken. It's just not as good as it could be.
It was a good looking game on Quest. Really, the only thing visually that I found noticeable in a negative way is there's some fixed foveated rendering that you can catch the line of from time to time, but it's not egregious or anything, and something that I forgot about fairly quickly.
It said, yes, we're switching to the HDRP pipeline in order to support the dynamic lighting and HDR rendering. We have a lot of space to improve the graphics with the PSVR hardware.
Nice.
It's awesome to hear. Leo AI with the 50 Sekiros says, right lens died. Oh, God. Sorry to hear that. Got the headset replaced just before the warranty expires on the 22nd. Finally. Oh, okay. So this is something that happened and has already been fixed. Finally playing RE4. Great game. Heard of Beyond Hanwell on Unreal Engine VR. UEVR. I don't know Beyond Hanwell.
No, I don't. That doesn't sound beyond Hanwell. No, that's a new one to me even.
Sweet. Well, I'm gonna have to be a pain in the ass to these guys, aren't I? Yeah, this looks fucking fantastic. Thanks for the heads up, Leo. We'll definitely keep an eye on that and talk to those devs as soon as possible. All right, and that brings us to, Wes, the third game we previewed for PSVR2. Oh, fuck. I actually forgot what it was while in the middle of my sentence. But I have forgotten no longer. It was Genotype. This is coming to us from Bulwark Games. Guys, Bulwark Games made the Dick Wild games. They also made like a slew of other things over the course of the last few years that like seemed like they were going to come to PSVR and then didn't. And I kind of can't lie, don't care, because this is the one that we've been waiting for. Wes, Genotype, I played for the very first time today, except this is not the game that it's been, right? Like this recently just got a big combat update. What was this game before this big update? What has everyone been playing for the last few months?
Well, I didn't play a ton of it since the updates. At its core, it's still the same game. The combat, the enemy AI is a bit better now. It's a bit more challenging to fight with these enemies. They tweak some things with the upgrade system for your weapons and your character. That's had some graphics updates since the early version, which it was always a good looking game anyway. It's still at its core the same game that it was before, from what I can tell so far. But you know what? If it hadn't gotten any of these updates, I'm a fan. I am a fan of Genotype. I love this game. I loved it from the first time I played it, and I got it back in there today and picked it right back up and remembered why I love it so much. This kind of, in so many ways, feels like an old school game to me, like an old school sci-fi corridor shooter that we would have played back on PS1, PS2, but it's a very good looking, immersive game and just fun to play. There's a lot of game here. There's depth to the progression. I really enjoy it. It's very unique and fun game to play.
Yeah, dude, for whatever reason, Genotype and Dead Hook were sort of like occupying the same space in my brain. And so for whatever reason, like, I mean, they kind of looked similar visually, again, you know, from a trailer perspective, not from an actual gameplay perspective. They actually look significantly differently when you're playing them. I confused which one was which. There's a part of me that going into this today that was like, it's a roguelite, right? It's not a roguelite. This feels like a full-fledged adventure sci-fi shooter with some really great. I mean, is it a horror game? If it's obviously set in like some like a sci-fi, you know, biological laboratory test gone wrong setting. You so there's a lot of like weird fucking creatures, but like it doesn't feel scary. Does it get scary?
No, not really. I mean,
Okay.
it's kind of ominous here. It's definitely a dark scenario, and
That's a good
there's
word.
some dark things that happen. But no, I wouldn't call it a horror game at all. It's a typical. I call it typical. It's not typical. It's a dark sci-fi game. It's a dark sci-fi shooter with an interesting story and premise that you're working through. It is a story-driven game. It's an action game. It's an action adventure game.
Yeah. And that feels good, man. That feels good. And it feels very solid. Everything about this, from the storytelling, which obviously encapsulates the narration, to the action, to just the way everything feels, this feels like a polished game. Like I kept thinking about like the PSVR2 enhancements that it'll likely get. There are things that you can see me using this weapon right now, which is weird, man. Like there's like, you get new weapons, but all they are like these biological like organisms that like spawn on your hand that you're using to attack. And the one I'm using here is like this grapple thing, infinite ammo, because all you're doing is like just using it to grapple. And there's not really a lot in the way of like haptics or adaptive triggers or anything like that. And it feels like it's missing, right? Like for a game that's so polished, I'm like, this is the stuff that feels very much like it's missing. And hopefully all those parts can kind of feel complete when it gets to PSVR 2, because it's already a great looking game. It's like some great reflections on the floor you can see here. The resolution was great. The frame rate was like rock solid. And it just made me go, man, I can't wait to see this on the OLED panels, where like the blacks will be black, the dark's going to feel darker, the colors will feel richer, and then of course the haptics and adaptive triggers, I think, will really complete the package if they're able to take advantage of those.
Yeah, so I agree and I disagree at the same time. I think for a quest game, that the haptics are actually pretty good in it. Like when you're changing weapons and doing things like that, you can feel all of that in the controllers.
Yeah.
With that said, when I'm playing the game today and I'm thinking to myself, what's the biggest opportunity for improvement when this game comes to PSVR2? It was absolutely the controllers, the haptics and the adaptive triggers. I think with this type of game, it's well suited to that sort of feedback, and that will add a fair amount of immersion to it. So I'm hopeful and confident that when this game hits PSVR 2, it's going to be even better than it is on Quest 3.
King Cirque says that weapon looks awful to use. It wasn't my favorite. Obviously, there's a distance issue with it. There's infinite ammo, so you literally have to get up. And the drawback to having infinite ammo is that, like, I don't know, it's like probably 6 feet range. You have to get closer to enemies than you'd prefer. It's not one of my favorites. I've only got 3 weapons so far. But dude, this does VR the way I like VR to be done. Like this, I feel like I got so much story delivered to me today, and at no point was I standing still going, and then what? And then what?
Right.
You're still talking? Really? Like it was all delivered while I was exploring, while I was fighting, like just like this, the voiceovers it was non-intrusive. And then there were these, there were audio logs that were pretty short overall, and we're playing while I'm walking around. And then on top of that, where, if you really want to get further into the lore here, there's like these, these diary type things. There's these panels that you pick up with like journal entries and shit on them, which are completely optional. So far I haven't seen one with a passcode on it or directions or the key card or anything like that. It was just optional shit to, like, if you really like the story, there's more to it everywhere, but it's totally optional. And you can just hold on to it and read it while you're walking, right? This Border Bots, no matter how good Border Bots is, and it does seem like a really good game, you're just standing there for minutes at a time just going, I can't believe you're still talking to me. This game tells a story the way I like it to be told, and the voice acting's pretty good. Like it all seemed really solid. This is highlight of my day, I think.
Yeah, the story's good. The voice acting is solid. Even on the audio logs, it's pretty cool. I can't wait for you to get deeper into this game because not only does the story get better, but the amount of like all the different weapons and devices that you find really add to the gameplay. And a couple of them in particular that I won't tell you about because I don't want to spoil it for you. But there's some cool stuff that you unlock as you play your way through it, and it just keeps getting better and better and better as you play through it.
Nice. For anyone who missed the transition, we're talking about Genotype. But I will say, the people are saying that there's a Cosmo Dread vibe going on here. And that doesn't sound far off. Even the inventory system feels a little Cosmo Dread. It's very convenient, easy to use. I love how everything kind of operates by like your left hand has like this port on it. And so like, oh, you collect some tokens. It's like you found this token wallet thing and you like connect it to the port and then you pull the trigger and it like downloads into your system. And that you do that for so many things. That's the way you use health. That's the way you use the computer you're seeing here is like an upgrade system where there's so many different things to upgrade. That includes all the different biological weapons that you're finding. That includes the just some of your abilities. It seems like it goes really deep, and unlike a lot of games, I wanted to upgrade everything, and I'm like, man, that's a lot of carrots dangling at the end of a lot of sticks here. Any idea how?
Choose too.
Say it again.
You have to choose too. Like there are different upgrade paths. Like it's not legendary tales with like a big skill tree or anything, but when you're upgrading your weapons and abilities, you have to make choices. You can't go down every path. So there's lots of like different augments and abilities that you can unlock, and many of them will work together and play off of one another. But you kind of have to decide that as you go, and decide how you want to configure your weapons, how you want to configure your player. With that said, unlike Legendary Tales, you can wipe it and start all over again at any point. You can respec your character an infinite amount of times as you play through the game.
Awesome. Any idea how long this game is?
I would have known that at one time. I want to say that it's probably 10 to 12 hours. I probably have 6 or 8 in it already and feel like I'm a bit over halfway through it. Now, when I say 6 to 8 hours into it, that's counting failed attempts. So if you look at my game save says that I'm 5 hours in. But the game save time only accumulates the successful attempts through the game. So all the times that you got killed and have to go back to the save point, that doesn't account for that. So I'm about 5 hours in if I were to have played a perfect playthrough, and I feel I'm a little past halfway. But it's taken me probably 8 or more hours to get to where I'm at in the game.
Right on. That's great, man. That's great. This is currently on sale on the Quest store for $15, but it retails for $25. So that sounds like definitely getting your money's worth. Very interesting to see all these pricing models explored like this. $25 game that takes that long to beat, that's this in depth, that like I'm just enjoying right from the get go. Certainly not something we see all the time. Yeah. I'm excited. I'm definitely more excited about this one, I think, than the other two. But all three, I'm really looking forward to. Nihilist Ryan, the Game Feline, of course, with the $5 tip, says waiting for reviews on all these, but the devs being in chat always makes me optimistic. Thanks, devs. I just hope that as we've seen so many amazing PSVR2 ports since launch for the last year, but we've also seen a few here and there that haven't gotten quite the love they deserve. So hoping that all three of these just really, really shine on PSVR2. This one, I believe this one, we're going to see this one really soon on PSVR2. I think the devs have been saying early 2024. I believe the goal is Q1, so by the end of March at the latest. I believe that's the goal. Do not quote me on that.
That seems right to me. I know before they announced PSVR2, they had announced Steam, and I think that the goal for Steam was to launch in March. if I remember correctly. So if it's going to be a concurrent launch on the Steam and PSVR2, I think it's very possible that we see it next month.
Man, how big has Bulwark Games gotten? Because, I mean, they were a really small studio when Dick Wild came out 6 years ago, 7 years.
Yeah. I don't think they're that big. I could speak to it a little bit, but I don't want to divulge things that have been told to me that I don't know. Wherever made public, they're not huge.
Samson143 VR with a $5 tip says Titanic game sounds like it is one lifeboat short of a safe ship. I wish I could go to Blockbuster and rent a PS5 and PSVR2 for a weekend. That'd be pretty damn cool. Miss those days.
You can. I mean, kind of. You can go get one from Walmart and take it back in the return window.
Developers, I think, were in the chat asking. Sorry, not for this game, but for the Titanic game. Wes, did you have a favorite moment of the Titanic game so far?
Favorite moment? I don't know. That's a difficult question. I mean, I liked a few of the spooky moments, right, with the apparition appearing.
Yep.
Honestly, I'm not that far into it. I kind of like, if you want to talk about kind of like a series that I'm starting to dig at, like there's more supernatural stuff that's starting to happen where like things are throwing balls my way and knocking pictures off the wall. More of that stuff starting to happen, and I'm enjoying that a little bit. But like as far as like a specific like wow moment, nothing really comes to mind.
Yeah, I didn't have a specific wow moment other than, of course, the water physics looking really cool. Enjoy that quite a bit. I've always been a fan of water in games, going as far back as I can remember. I remember on the PlayStation 2, Eco had like pools of water that you like ran through and stuff, and the water physics were cool. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 1, also very cool, but almost like made it seem like silky water. It was very cool. And so I always pay attention to water physics, and when we get something like this, that the Titanic game, that the water is actually rising, and things are floating by in the water, I think all that's very, very cool. But I will say that I experienced a puzzle where like I had to get the steam to turn off in order to progress, and there were like three valves, which is a very common thing for whatever reason in video games, VR games especially, where like you got to go find the valve and hold on to it and turn it off, right? Like it's a VR staple. This one just felt different because you kind of have to find the directions as to how to turn off the valves. Like there's like instructions on how to turn off the steam and like where each valve needs to be set to. And then there's also like a map completely separate from your instructions showing where the valve locations are. And so, the first two are really obvious and the third one's not obvious in the slightest. And so like I was traipsing up and down the hallways looking for this fucking valve. And then I finally was like, there's a map. I'm going to go look at the map. I looked at the map on the wall and I was like, what the fuck? And then finally, like I found where it was sort of hidden. And so because it didn't really hold my hand and be like, all right, now turn this one 90 degrees to the left. Now turn this one. It gave you all of the materials you needed to figure it out for yourself. And then it just left you to your own devices. I really enjoy puzzles that kind of have faith in the player to figure it out. And so I think that was my favorite part, just from a pure puzzle standpoint.
So I've got a favorite part from a puzzle standpoint too, but I will share that I did not find the map on the wall that shows you where the valves are at. But I didn't need to, because the hidden valve, the one that you have to find, was the first one that I found.
Of course.
Like that door, the door into that room is like, you come to that first before you get to any of the other stuff.
Yeah.
So I went into that room first, found the valve, had no idea what it was for, and then went on down the hall and got the instructions with what to do, and then had to kind of go back and backtrack and turn all the valves on. But I did have a favorite kind of puzzle room so far as well, and it's a room where the story starts to open up a little bit. You can tell that the scientist has been here in this room It has schematics and plans drawn up on the wall, and there's a cool like 3 or 4 part puzzle that has you assembling like a clock, and then you have to adjust the clock to a certain time, and it puts you going downstairs to find parts. And it was a pretty cool 3 or 4 part puzzle that you had to work at. I found that pretty cool, enjoyable.
Nice. Wes, which one of these are you so excited about the most?
Well, definitely Genotype. Even though I played through it mostly, it was one of my favorite releases of 2023, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like with updated graphics, triggers, haptics. You know, with these grade gloves that you're wearing in the game, I really feel like the haptics can add a lot to the immersion of this game. So that's definitely number one on my list for sure.
Chris Forthenberry in the chat says, not a big fan of puzzles. I don't think Titanic is going to be for you. I think Titanic is focused around puzzles, some being, you know, extremely basic and some being a little more thought-provoking. So I'd say maybe not for you. Just guessing though. Wes, all right, man. Well, we've covered 3 games coming to PSVR2. And it seems like they're all going to be here in just a few months. So that was really cool, man. This is exactly why I wanted a Quest 3. This is exactly why I wanted to be able to check out these games. Oh crap, Chris Forthenberry. He and I are having 2 different conversations. My bad. And so yeah, it's great because unfortunately this means that the experience I've had with these games are now the experience I've had with these games until the PSVR2 keys come along, and it's time to review that version because I can't spend entire days like I did today playing games that I'm not reviewing. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with these. It was really fun to be able to check them all out and do the show with you. And of course, as you said, Wes, this won't be the last time we do this this year or anytime soon.
Nice. Good times.
All right, man. I think it's time to wrap this thing up and do some 20 questions. You ready for this thing?
I'm as ready as I ever am, Brian.
That's a big no. Cool. Well, then I'm going to put 6 minutes up on the clock. Guys, you know how this works. I'm going to put PSVR1 or PSVR2 game, and you guys out there are going to help Wes out. Suggest good games to him in the chat. Suggest good questions for him to ask. And then, you know, obviously, games based on my answers. Wait a minute. Did we not talk about MADISON? Did we not start the show talking about MADISON?
No, we did not mention MADISON.
Dude, it's in the thumbnail.
Well, we probably should talk about that then, huh?
Bro, let's hit pause for a second. I have a broken memory. I literally thought we talked about MADISON already. But it was Herc UK in the chat reminding us that we hadn't talked about it yet. I was like, literally thought that was the first thing we discussed. Guys, I feel like I've been saying this for like a week or two, that MADISON seemed like it was going to get delayed. And then today we woke up to a press release basically explaining that it 100% did get delayed. This MADISON, according to the press release, now has a new digital release date of March 23rd, 2024. It was supposed to be out February 20th, which is obviously next week. So a delay of just over a month. Then the exciting boxed Cursed Edition will follow on April 12th. Now, the following part of this, Wes, is something that I hadn't heard from Perp before. So I believe this is new news, other than, you know, that it got delayed a little bit. You qualify for a discount if you purchase the original flat screen MADISON on PS5 before March 1st. So if you buy it right now, March 1st, 2024, you have until April 29th to redeem 20% off. I don't know if that's necessary. I don't know if you all need to buy the flat screen version of MADISON if you're going to play it in VR.
Yeah, and I don't know if it would be very cost effective either. I mean, did they share with us what the price of this game is going to be at launch?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know why I have it in my head that's a $30 game.
That's what I was thinking too. $30.
So maybe it is 30. Let me just check Here, let me just check the email real quick just to make sure.
Yeah, I'm bringing it up as well.
Okay.
Let's see. Digital SRP. Yeah, no, $35. 30 pounds.
30 pounds, 35 euros, $35. And then the physical will be 5 more in each territory. So physical will be 35 quid, 40 pounds and 40 euros and $40.
So the moral of the story is, unless you can catch Madison on sale for $7 or less,
Yep.
then that 20% discount's not going to mean shit to you unless you just want to play it flat.
What do you think of the delay, Wes? Is this something, I mean, obviously we want things to be good when they launch, but Vertigo suffered a delay. Perp Games have not been killing it with their ports lately. Obviously Tennis on Court had problems. Vertigo had problems. VR Skater seemed to be the one that like kind of killed it out of the gate. Are you concerned about this game any more or less with this delay?
Slightly, and only because of what you mentioned. It seems to be following a very similar trajectory that Vertigo 2 took, and as we know, that launched with issues.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is it had a launch date. It had an initial very long delay, which put it into February, and now it's getting another very short delay. Now we could look at that short delay and say, well, clearly it's almost there. They just need to polish a few things up and then it'll be ready. But that was not the case for Vertigo 2. Obviously, there was some pressure to get the game launched, and they launched it in a suboptimal state. I hope that's not what's happening here. I'd rather them delay it another 6 months and get it right than deliver a buggy version in March. Only time will tell.
I mean, listen, you guys know I love Perp Games. I've worked with them very closely many times. I think I'd like to know what's going on with this game specifically, because with Vertigo 2, again, they still haven't been super clear about this, but it seems like the port studio that handled it was Intalto, because Intalto was the logo that we saw on the title screen along with Perp Games and Zalubo. And so hopefully, hopefully Intalto's not the port studio again. They said that Perp's been working closely with Bloodiest Games, the creator of the original Madison. So we don't know who actually is porting it, whether it's Bloodiest, whether it's, whether Perp has, outsourced this again. And if Intalto, hopefully they learned some things about porting games to PSVR2 by doing Vertigo. And so maybe some of the things that they learned, if they are indeed in charge of this port, are just taking some time to implement into this game. So I've got my fingers crossed, man, but I think the delay for the first time in a while has me filled with more fear than hope.
Yeah. And a lot of that too has to do with, this is one of my top most anticipated games of the year. I can't wait to play this game. I haven't peeked at it on flat. I haven't even watched more than 2 minutes of any video. I'm saving myself for PSVR on this one, and I'm really hoping it knocks it out of the park.
Yeah. Now let's run the game Feline in the chat says, I don't think this game has outdoor environments like Vertigo did, so it might not be the same issue. Madison on the flat screen is a beautiful game. The indoor environments are so detailed, bordering on photorealistic. I feel like when PT happened, there was a bunch of games that were like, hey, we want to kind of capitalize on this. There was a game called Allison Road. There was Visage. All these games that sort of had this semi-photorealistic look to them that all of a sudden, we got like 5 of them announced all at the same time. They were trying to capitalize on Silent Hills not being made, or people's enthusiasm for PT. And I think Madison was one of those games. If you play this game flat screen PS5, it is beautiful. And I think the level of detail, if you compare the level of detail in like Vertigo to the level of detail in Madison, it is night and day. So I think even the interiors of Madison are going to be I mean, a struggle to render running at a nice high frame rate.
Yeah. With that said, it is a very different game on a technical level than what Vertigo is. Vertigo with these wide open spaces and long draw distances and literally hundreds of things moving around in some cases, versus these indoor environments that are very, still in most scenarios. Hopefully, we're dealing with more of a Red Matter 2 than a Vertigo 2 here on a technical level.
Yep. Andrew Ehrenreich asks if New Mata has a release date. No, it doesn't, and I don't want one. That game seems like it's still in development. Like, fuck the VR version. Like, get the flat screen version done, because it seems like every time they post, it's like, the dude who makes New Mata posts, he's like, "Oh look, I implemented an inventory system." I was like, "This game's further away than we thought it was. It just now has an inventory system. Excellent." So yeah, I'm good, man. I don't need to hear anything about New Mata for a long time. VR Demon says, "Seen you guys get Space Docker. Not gonna lie, it's pretty fun. Hidden gem." Did you play any Space Docker VR, Wes? I know that you've been busy.
Space Docker VR. I have no idea what that is.
It's so when two guys really love each other. Just sorry, that was horrible. Okay. It's Valentine's Day. No, it's a game about moving cargo in space. And like, yeah, it looked like it was going to be a kind of some shovelware, because it just has like sort of this generic game, Space Docker VR. Trailers didn't look super impressive, and so thank God for the cats, man. One of our loyal cats over on Discord, Izzard, pointed me to it and was like, "Dude, I just downloaded this and checked it out, and it was really good." And I was like, "Is it really?" And it was, man. So it's a lot of fun. It can be frustrating, but it's great.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Bonjour Miller with the $2 tip says, "Bring back the way Jeremy likes it." Oh, hashtag get Des. Okay. There's a lot of old school cats around here who fucking remember a lot of shit.
Speaking of which, what, about 6 weeks, a month, less than 6 weeks, to the meetup, right?
Yeah. It's stressing me out because I don't leave the house very much. So
it'll be fun, Brian.
I don't like being around a lot of people.
The first step will be the most difficult, but after you get there, it'll be fun. Yeah. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah. No, once I'm there, I'll be really happy. Yep. Until then, I'll be very nervous. All right, man, dude. Okay, now we got to wrap up the show. Let's do some 20 questions and call it a day. You ready for this?
Let's do it.
All right. Thanks for keeping us on our toes, you guys. I would definitely have let Madison go. I mean, like, we fucking already talked about that shit. The show would have been over, and I would have been like, "Wes, did we talk about that?" And he goes, "I don't know." It would have been fine. Whatever. All right, let's do this. I'm going to put 6 minutes up on the clock up on the counter, the way that Jeremy likes it. And then you guys out there and Wes in here has 6 minutes and only 20 yes or no questions to figure out what PSVR1 game, PSVR2 game I am thinking of. On your mark, get Des. Go.
Did we mention this game today, Brian?
No,
we did not. All right, cool. Is this game announced for or released on PlayStation VR2?
Oh, no.
So PSVR1 only. Is this game exclusive to PSVR1?
No.
So it is a multi-platform game. Is this game playable flat?
That's a good question. Here, let me just double check if there's an answer here. No, it's not playable flat. VR only.
So multi-platform PSVR1 game that has not been brought to PSVR2. Very good. You shoot a lot, doing some gun shooting in this game, Brian?
No, sir. That's 5.
Puzzle game?
Yes.
Horror game?
No. Which makes it boring.
It's a puzzler, right. Well, would you call it science fiction?
Nope.
Fantasy?
Fantastical. Like not orcs and elves and shit like that. And there's probably a hint of sci-fi, but fantasy is a pretty good place for it.
Okay. Has this developer made other PSVR games?
Yes, that's 10.
But not playable flat. Okay, so see, I was going down the road, but those games are playable flat. So all right, so kind of fantastic, maybe a little sci-fi puzzle game. And these developers have not, you said, have not made other PSVR games, right?
Oh no, they have. And actually, I'm just
they have.
double checking that. I want to make sure that I don't screw this up. Yes, they have.
Okay. All right. So they have. Would you call this game cartoony?
Yes.
This is a cartoony puzzle game that's a little bit fantastic. Does this game have a sequel?
No, it does not.
I guess I should have asked, does it have a sequel or is it a sequel?
We'll go with no on both counts. I just looked up the developer and I confused a developer with a publisher. And so these guys may not have made other PSVR games. My apologies. I'm double checking their games.
Fair. Just a good game, Bryan.
It's okay. It's okay. It is an average game.
A gravitational demagnetic. I don't know if I would class those as even average. They're pretty weak. Zing is pretty good.
Zing's pretty good. Yeah, it gets real confusing, man. They've definitely made some. I can say they've definitely made some PSVR2 games. It seems. I don't know about PSVR1.
Oh, wow.
So I'll give you an extra question because I don't know the answer.
So it's based on any kind of like a known franchise from outside of gaming?
No.
No. I wouldn't consider Trover really a puzzle game per se. It's got puzzles in it, but together, yeah, I guess it could be alone together. Okay, wait a minute. So you said that it doesn't have a sequel, so never mind. Just in time, no, maybe. Is there any kind of time manipulation in this?
No.
Form wasn't that good either. I mean, form was all right, but man, it was short.
Yeah. I would say this is a bump up from form. Form was slightly below average. This is maybe just average.
Static was a exclusive hurt.
And also a great game.
Yeah, Static was really good. Torn was all right. I think there's some time travel element in that. Didn't I just ask if it had time travel?
You also asked if it was cartoony, and it is cartoony. Torn is not.
All right, good point. So I was thinking Floor Plan, but Floor Plan has definitely has a sequel. Interesting. This game on Quest?
Yes, it is. That's 15.
So this is a standalone game. Oh, brother. Is there any kind of like humor to it?
I don't remember there being humor to it. If there is, it wasn't very good.
So that would eliminate like Sam and Max style games. Is it story driven?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty story driven. Your time is up, so I think I'm going to have to require a guess.
Is this game Shadowpoint?
Wes, coming out on fuck me if I know. On March 22nd, 2022 by CodeSync Software. This is Shadowpoint.
Boom. Thank you. Thank you, Looper.
Yep, Looper coming through.
Shadowpoint's good. It wasn't the best port, as I recall, but as far as the game goes, it's a pretty good game.
Yeah, I thought it was a good. No, I think I thought it was average. And yeah, the port definitely needed some work. They really kind of screwed up the transition scenes that were cool on Quest, where it's like you go through this portal and you go through the portal and you're somewhere else. On PlayStation VR, you go through the portal and there's a loading screen. It's like that kind of ruins everything you've got going on right here. So I'd like a PSVR2 version of it.
Well, didn't they have like snap turning or teleport or something that was forced in it on PlayStation as well?
Probably at first, yeah. I feel like that got patched. And there was one specific area. They're showing right here in the trailer where you like look into a wishing well and there's a key in there, and you reach down and you grab the key, and when you lift your head up, you're somewhere else, right? Like it actually has this very cool transition that happens, and it just didn't fucking work properly on PSVR. Like you reach down, you try to grab, I think it was an apple. It was a different location than what they just showed in the trailer. You reach down, you grab an apple, and you lift up your head. You're like, oh shit, where am I? Everything just changed. But you couldn't pick up the apple, so you're like, oh, I guess I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be doing this. I'm not supposed to pick up the apple. But it wasn't until you got like on your fucking hands and knees and made sure like you basically your head went through the geometry to trigger the change. It was just a bad experience playing it on PSVR 1.
Well, I didn't play it on PSVR. I played it on Quest, and I enjoyed it. Although I will say that I do have a particular affinity for light puzzles.
Yep.
Like I like light puzzles. They're fun for me and challenging. And I thought this game was both.
Yeah, I like the concept. I actually played this on Quest before I played the PSVR version, which sort of might have ruined because I played the better version for sure first. So, all right, guys, it is time to wrap this show up. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Appreciate everyone sticking around for 20 questions and helping out. Good job, Looper. But don't forget, guys, come join us over on Discord. Click the links in the description below. Go sign up, subscribe to Virtual Strangers so you can hear about all sorts of other games coming to PSVR 2 and hear what they think of the games coming to other headsets. Click the link in the description below. Thank you to everybody who helps the channel run, from our amazing moderators over here in Discord. Rypop for getting this thing up on podcast services of your choice. We got Rhodey, the Game Cat Army General, putting timestamps into the show after it's over. We got everyone who supports us over on patreon.com/withoutparole games, everyone who is a member here, and everyone who tips during the show. We thank you for your financial support, but we also just love you being here, being part of this awesome community. So thank you for hanging out in the chat and keeping us entertained while we try to keep you entertained, and everyone who sits back and watches the show and doesn't say goddamn fucking piece of shit motherfucking word, Wes. Fuck. I don't know. Fuck. I didn't want to say fuck you because I don't mean fuck you. I meant just fuck. I've got some anger issues I'm working through.
Brian, Paul, and fuck you all.
I feel like maybe that's more accurate.
Yeah.
Anyway, we love you all just as much. Happy Wednesday, Wes.
Happy Valentine's Day, cats.
Oh, yeah. Let's go. I did want to start the show off with this. I talked a little bit on on a previous episode about how I went to go see my grandmother on her 99th birthday just a couple weeks ago. Met family members I didn't even know existed because there were certain parts of the family that I hadn't seen in like 15 years. I met little cousins I had that were like 12 years old and shit. And I woke up today to find out that she passed.
Oh, that's terrible. At least, you know, I know it's a small condolence, but I can say from personal experience that I bet you're glad you visited now, huh?
100%.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah.
I had missed a couple of her previous birthdays. I don't think I saw 97 or 98. I think I missed those completely. just because, you know, we get caught up with our own lives and shit. But something definitely told me a couple weeks ago when my dad said he was going to visit her for her 99th birthday. Like, you know, he didn't say, "Do you want to come?" I said, you know, text me the address. I'll meet you there. So yeah, I'm very, very happy. But it's, you know, I think anybody on this planet is fortunate to get 99 years out of their life.
Yeah.
But I don't. It doesn't hurt any less like when it happens. So just a good reminder to, you know, give your parents a call or go see them whenever possible, because you never know.
Yes.
You just never know.
Yes, please. And thank you for saying that too, because I literally just the day before yesterday, I called my grandma who lives in Michigan, and I haven't seen her in probably a decade.
Wow.
And I hadn't talked to her in probably 2 or 3 years. And, you know, I talked to her a long time, talked to her for like an hour on the phone, felt great when I got off of it. But it really left me with like, man, I've got to get up there and see her. I don't think she's seen my children in real life ever. So, I need to get up there, and just you sharing this just kind of reiterates that to me that I need to go see my grandma while there's still time to do it.
Well, I think you and I have a lot in common, Wes. And I think we both love our work so much that like we allow ourselves to get caught up in it. You know, like we spend all day. We'd spend all day every day. Like sometimes we do, doing this kind of stuff. And you know, there's more to life. So.
Absolutely. Again, my condolences. Sorry that you're dealing with this, and yeah,
thank you very much. And again, thank you, Cats, for being here. You guys make every day better. All right, that's it. Happy Wednesday, everybody. We love you all.